Aloha Jivas, welcome to episode 2 of my series where I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is, the 1972 edition by Swami A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupad. Okay, so a brief recap. We have the blind King Dhritarashtra is hearing from his advisor who has the gift of sight. They're not at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but there's some distance, and so Sanjaya is able to remote view and describe to Dhritarashtra what's happening, and he is saying that his son Duryodhana and the Kauravas who are on that side of the battle vying for the throne of Hastinapura are feeling very confident because they have the best general, Bhishma, and then we ended where Bhishma blew his conch, which is the beginning of the war ritual, right? Just like we had in, I guess, semi-modern day compared to this. You hear about when people actually went to war and they had like the drummers and stuff, during the Revolutionary War. So I guess maybe it was similar to that. They had all their instruments and they were sounding them. And so after Bhishma blows his conch, then we're going to read the 13th verse. Tataha shankascha barascha panavanaka gomukaha sahaishavabhyanyanta sa sabdas tumulo bhavat. After that, the conch shells, bugles, trumpets, drums, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. Text 14. Tataha svater hayar yukte mahati syandane stitau madavaha pandavaschaiva divyo shankau pradadmatuha. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Purport. In contrast with the conch shell blown by Bhishmadev, the conch shells in the hands of Krishna and Arjuna are described as transcendental. The sounding of the transcendental conch shells indicated that there was no hope of victory for the other side, because Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas. Jayastu Pandu Putranam Yasham Pakshe Janardanaha. Victory is always with persons like the sons of Pandu, because Lord Krishna is associated with them. And whenever and wherever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is also there, because the goddess of fortune never lives alone without her husband. Therefore, victory and fortune were awaiting Arjuna, as indicated by the transcendental sound produced by the conch shell of Vishnu, or Lord Krishna. Besides that, the chariot on which both the friends were seated was donated by Agni, the fire god, to Arjuna, and this indicated that this chariot was capable of conquering all sides wherever it was drawn over the three worlds. Text 15. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjayaha Pondram Dadmau Mahashankam Bhima Karma Vrikodadaha. Then Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Pondram. Purport. Lord Krishna is referred to as Rishikesh in this verse because he is the owner of all senses. The living entities are part and parcel of him, and therefore the senses of the living entities are also part and parcel of his senses. The impersonalists cannot account for the senses of the living entities, and therefore they are always anxious to describe all living entities as senseless or impersonal. The Lord, situated in the hearts of all living entities, directs their senses, but he directs in terms of the surrender of the living entity, and in the case of a pure devotee, he directly controls the senses. So just to repeat that, according to one's surrender to the Lord, to be a tool for the Lord to work through, sometimes we hear people pray things like, Lord, make me your instrument, right? And so to that degree that you allow that, only God can be able to do works through you. Okay. Where am I? Here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Lord directly controls the transcendental senses of Arjuna, and thus his particular name of Rishikesh. The Lord has different names according to his different activities. For example, his name is Madhusudana because he killed the demon of the name Madhu. His name is Govinda because he gives pleasure to the cows and to the senses. His name is Vasudev because he appeared as the son of Vasudev. His name is Devaki Nandana because he accepted Devaki as his mother. His name is Yashoda Nandana because he awarded his childhood pastimes to Yashoda at Vrindavan. His name is Parthasarthi because he worked as charioteer of his friend Arjuna. Similarly, his name is Rishikesh because he gave direction to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. We're hearing about all these things that many of you may not be aware of. So maybe after I read the Gita, I'll read the Krishna book that describes who Krishna is and the pastimes that he had as a young boy. Okay, so Arjuna is referred to as Dhananjaya in this verse because he helped his elder brother in fetching wealth when it was required by the king to make expenditures for different sacrifices. Similarly, Bhima is known as Vrikodara because he could eat as voraciously as he could perform Herculean tasks, such as killing the demon Hidimba. So, the particular types of conch shell blown by the different personalities on the side of the Pandavas, beginning with the lords, were all very encouraging to the fighting soldiers. On the other side, there were no such credits, nor the presence of Lord Krishna, the supreme director, nor that of the goddess of fortune. So they were predestined to lose the battle, and that was the message announced by the sounds of the conch shells. Texts 16 through 18. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhisthiraha Nakulaha Sahadevascha Sugosha Manipushpako Kashyascha Parameshvasaha Shikandicha Maharataha Dristajumno Viratascha Satyakis Chaparajita Drupado Dropadesyascha Sarvasha Prativipate Sobhadrascha Mahabahu Shankam Dadmaho Pratak. King Yudhisthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakula and Sahadev blew the Sugosha and Mani Pushpaka. The great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Sikandi, Dristajumna, Virata, and the incomparable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi, and the others, O king, such as the son of Subhadra, greatly armed, all blew their respective conch shells. Purport. Sanjaya informed King Dhritarashtra very tactfully that his unwise policy of deceiving the sons of Pandu and endeavoring to enthrone his own sons on the seat of the kingdom was not very laudable. The signs already clearly indicated that the whole Kuru dynasty would be killed in that great battle, beginning with the grandsire Bhishma down to the grandsons like Abhimanyu and others, including kings from many states of the world. All were present there, and all were doomed. The whole catastrophe was due to King Dhritarashtra, because he encouraged the policy followed by his sons. Text 19. Sagosho Dhritarashtratanam Hridayani Vyadarayat Nabascha Prithivim Chaiva Tumulo Byanunadayan. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, and thus, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth, it shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. Purport. When Bhishma and the others on the side of Duryodhana blew their respective conch shells, there was no heartbreaking on the part of the Pandavas. Such occurrences are not mentioned, but in this particular verse it is mentioned that the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered by the sounds vibrated by the Pandavas' party. This is due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. So I'll just repeat that last sentence. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll be back tomorrow picking up from the 20th verse, and I hope you'll have a great day. Thanks again. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.